What's going on, YouTube? How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing great as usual. Thank you so much for all your support, guys. Your recent support has been amazing. I just want to point that out really quick. The conversations that I've been having with you guys in the comments, man, are just they're just amazing. I literally wish I could just do that for a living and make enough money to live. But unfortunately I don't. So that's why I don't get back to you guys as much as I wish to. But as you guys know, when I do get back to you, my comments, my replies are definitely sometimes can be very long, so I apologize for that. But I just want you to know that I do that because I want you to know that I recognize you as a person. I want to conversate with you guys. So I do leave those long replies, and I really appreciate that you guys actually read them and you even reply back to some of them too. So I know we're all busy. Everybody has a life, so do I. Trust me, if I didn't work 50, 60 hours a week, I would be right there replying more to your comments. So I really appreciate it. But anyways, guys, we have some stuff to talk about here, man. And there's a couple of things that I just really specifically want to talk about with these two TVs. Remember, guys, first of all, I am playing the movie Avatar in a physical disc with a 4K HDR DVD. I'm telling you guys, you're not doing yourself any service if you don't have at least a decent 4K HDR DVD player when you're watching movies like this. And what we're watching, obviously, is Avatar: Way of the Water. These types of movies I like to use examples of when I'm talking about the topics I'm going to talk about because these are the best type of movies that you're gonna really want to use as an example to basically just express how good these TVs can manage this kind of movie. Because let's just face it, guys, a movie like this is perfect for these TVs. It has just the most amazing colors both ways. I mean, it has colors that are neon that just glow and illuminate through the TV. It has natural colors, guys, like just like from the forest that they live in, the trees, the dirt, the rocks, everything, the water. So it has a good mix of like natural and unnatural, like neon colors that you don't really see naturally out there. Um, and then it also has a lot of detail, guys, just a lot of detail. So this is like the best combination movie that I personally have next to like Transformers, some other movies. But this is to me like my favorite movie for overall movie experience. Like this is primarily why I get the TVs that I get, is to have these experiences when it comes to watching movies like this. It's the what separates the top premium TVs and versus or compared it to like even the mid-tier TVs or lower than that. So if you're gonna really want a great movie experience, get yourself a 4K DVD player, pair it with a TV like this, and I'm telling you guys, you're not gonna regret it. It's definitely the best experience. But again, guys, really the biggest thing I really want to talk about is going to be like tone mapping, just things I noticed, and highlights, details and highlights, and that the 3D effect when it comes to these two TVs. They have different approaches, big time, and they have their own way of actually going about how they make their TV look, and it is truly amazing. And let's just get out the color out the way. You already know by default, a QD OLED is going to be a more colorful or just more saturated, more just a nicer TV color wise. But there's going to be times where the G4 is so good looking that you don't even really care about color at that point. So like, at least when it comes to, you know, um, what the QD OLED technology Edge has. sometimes you don't even actually notice it. And just to let you guys know too, I do have my own personal settings in this these two TVs here. Again, we have on the left the LG G4 in the 77-inch. I'll just hit the menu system so you can see that it's the LG G4, as you can clearly tell by the menu system, the way it looks. And then the S90D, as you can see as well, I have the in the Samsung S90D on the right, and also the 77-inch. And I will tell you guys, man, there's going to be times where I like the S90D better, and then there's going to be times where I like the LG G4 better overall. But I think at this point, you guys know, color-wise, QD OLED is always going to win overall 98% of the time, if you're really nitpicking. But there's going to be other situations where does that really matter? Because as you can see, the color is bright. The TV is naturally brighter and can get brighter with the G4. And sometimes because the TV cannot get as colorful, the natural colors really come out. So if you see the reflection on her face and you see the area down under her chin stretching out to the left of the screen, that yellow orange reflection on the ground there in the background, you'll notice that you're probably going to say that right there is what fire reflection looks like, and it's like you were camping. It'll be more yellowish orange. It wouldn't be just orange. So that's where the LG really kicks in very, very nicely. I will say when it comes to like natural colors, I definitely think, because the colors are not as saturated in natural colors, just organically, just in real life, that the LG can really display that better than a QD OLED, because the technology can't get as saturated in this color. So although it is, let's say, a weakness of WOLED, it can also be a strength sometimes in certain situations. And I have noticed that throughout owning every WOLED and every QD OLED that I've ever had since the S95B, the S95C, and now the S90D. So I had 3 of them in a row, and it's been very consistent that way the entire time. So just get color out the way. I just want to kind of make that a point. But anyways, guys, I do have my own personal settings in both TVs. Just to let you guys know, you can do it obviously your own way. And I'm just really talking about things that I see consistently, no matter what your settings are, and that's tone mapping. So tone mapping, put it this way, when I have dynamic tone mapping on, that's probably when I enjoy the TV the most. All right. When I control my own tone mapping through Pro, or if I go to HEYY when I'm gaming, it's just not a good experience. Yeah, you can make it the way you want it. You can make it to be as, creator intent as possible. But why do you want to make it creator's intent as possible, especially in movies like this, when you have dynamic tone mapping that brightens everything up? It's because everything is just more vibrant and bright. That's why. And you want that experience. That's the whole reason why you buy these TVs. If you were going to really not want, let's just say you're more of a plug and play person, you don't really mess around with the settings. You just kind of go through the presets and that's what you pick. Why would you want to spend that much money on these TVs when you can just get something in the mid tier like a TCL or a Hisense, or an older OLED like a G3 or a G2 or a B or a C, or any of those, an S90C, even go back more, even less than that, because you know what? I gotta say, guys, when you you learn your TV and you can create your own settings to make it your personal preference, you will find out most of us are going to be somewhere in the middle. Although we do like accuracy, we also like pop and brightness. So the TV that can probably handle that the best is the TV that you're probably going to go with, and you're going to spend the extra money to get to that to that experience. And I would say the closest to experience I probably can get with what I have is my A95L, but we're not talking about that TV. So the tone mapping, they do act differently, right? Tone mapping to me with the LG G4, dynamic tone mapping has to be on. And the problem with that is that it can blow out highlights and details and highlights, right? So here's what I've noticed about this. Despite the fact that retaining highlights, you have to dim the TV in order to be able to maintain highlights, which I don't like because it overall dims the entire TV and just makes the whole picture kind of dull to me. You can set it as best as you can, but there's still going to be some flaws. Like, for example, in the, like, let's just say you have a dark foreground and a light background. Let's just say you're going through a cave. You have dynamic tone mapping, you're going through a cave, everything around you is dark, but there's like, you're coming out towards the exit of like a dark cave or entrance or whatever. And whatever is in the background there, let's just say whether it's cars, buildings, trees, cities, dirt, rocks, whatever it is, you don't see that detail until you're completely in or out of the cave, and then you're back out in wide open, and then the picture sets itself, or the TV sets itself to go into a different mode so you can see all the detail, right? That's the problem with dynamic tone mapping right there. But if you flip it around, right, and your background is the dark scene is dark and your foreground is bright. Let's just say you have a fire or something like that, flames, or a car blew up, and you know there's just the car on fire at night or whatever. That is when the tone mapping in the G4 is amazing. It's like the reverse way. It's like you can see more detail than I've ever seen in my entire life, ever, in those situations. So that's what I've noticed when it comes to tone mapping on the G4. All right. So it aggravates me because there's no like happy medium there. And I just wish that there was a way you can turn on pro, but keep the overall brightness of the TV up, and be able to maintain highlights. Like I wish it had that capability to be able to do that. So the only TV that I have that has been mostly able to do that is the A95L. Although it doesn't get bright like the LG G4 overall, it still can get bright enough to really max out its peak brightness and at the same time maintain the details and the highlights, no matter what situation it is, foreground to background, background to foreground, whatever, it doesn't matter. It can handle that the best. The only problem to me is, or it's not even really a problem, is the shortcoming of it is, yes, it is a highly detailed TV, but the G4 definitely has heightened my appreciation for detail. So I do notice the G4 has more like fine detail, especially when you turn up sharpness a little bit more. There's just different things that you can do, and it really fine tunes very, very well the LG. Yeah, it's a WOLED. It's an older technology. I completely get it, but it doesn't mean it's not a premium TV, that's for sure. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad TV. It's a beautiful TV, guys. Um, that's just my biggest thing with that. So the S90D, its tone mapping, I feel like is definitely used a lot wiser. You can see both foreground and background, like the fire in the foreground and black in the background, or vice versa. The light at the end of the tunnel. It can maintain details in both those situations better than the G4. The But again, the issue is sometimes it may not be as detailed, and I do notice sometimes it falling short in that department. The AI processor or the A11 processor in the G4 is truly a beast, guys. I mean, it definitely can manage to get way up there in some top-notch processing, image processing, and be able to do that with amazing motion at the same time is not an easy task for a company to do. It's really quite actually amazing how LG has accomplished that. I just think that they should have really not gone too complacent with WOLED after all this time, because now you have QD OLED catching up and catching up really, really quick. The S95D I just don't have, so I don't know how that compares to what I'm talking about right now. I have to see it with my own eyes and live with it like I do with these TVs, and that's what I notice. So, anyways, guys, there's another thing I did want to talk about too, and that's that 3D effect. This is something that um, I I feel like doesn't get talked about enough, um, and I gotta tell you guys, it should be, because 3D effect has, like, to me, two completely different approaches. Um, Here's what I noticed about the 3D effect of the S90D. All right. The 3D effect from foreground to background is like the most tack sharp uh, edge technology I ever seen. Like the way the lines can actually separate from each other, from foreground to background, is sharper than the G4. And then once you pair that up with like a colorful scene, and like the edges split, like the foreground from the background, and that, when it's colorful like that, man, I don't know what to tell you guys. It is ridiculous. It is like, it literally makes you smile. Like, it just, like, it's like, holy, like, that is sick. All right. So it does look more 3D in that perspective than the G4. All right. This is just stuff that you start to live and learn as you grow with these TVs, right? As you use these TVs. But this is where the G4 just smashes the S90D in the 3D effect. Like, I was playing God of War, right? And I'm literally just cruising through the map, just walking, going in and out of caves, whatever, doing my thing, just exploring. And then I stop and I get to the background where the ocean, the water's behind me, and rocks and details. Not only could you see all the little ripples and more reflections coming off of the water versus the S90D, but it looks more clear. Like, you can see through the water better than the S90D. Um, and the mountain that was in the background was not too far from me. It was like to the side of me. So I moved the camera so it can look at the rocks. And I noticed that the the G4 can, like, just process more detail, can get more detail out of the rocks, like Like you can just see more imperfections out of the rock than you can out of the rocks than compared to the S90D. So I did want to point that out. So like it's like they're complete opposite from each other. It's like the reason why an image looks more 3D in the G4 is because the background of the TV can pull so much more detail, which is not easy for a TV to do. Usually they concentrate on foreground detail. That's how good the processing is on a G4. It can pull more detail out of the overall picture, foreground and background. And that's where you start to see the 3D effect because of all those like fine details that it can pull out. Just like your depth perception is like more used to that look because that's just how we see it in real life. It's crazy. So yeah, that's my overall um, thing with these two TVs. So that's really what I wanted to talk about, guys. Um, as far as gaming goes, you know, these two TVs are flat out just what I mean, what else can you really possibly say? Like you can't say anything bad. Like they're both amazing gaming TVs, hands down. Um, Now, one can argue one way, one can argue this way, but we all know that all both of these TVs, the S95D, you know that those games or those TVs were definitely um, not letting gamers get disappointed. Let's just put it that way. They are freaking ridiculous. So, just want to let you guys know about that. They're just fun. They're just they're a blast. They're a pleasure to have, and I'm glad to be able to share my experience with you guys. My son, just to my last point, he doesn't know much about you know, TVs. I mean, he can definitely pick out details and stuff like that, but he doesn't know like what's what and like, he has a PC, so he knows like stuff about that, but not TV. So, and then, he'll literally tell me every time whether we're watching something or whether we are playing a video game. I'll turn them both on sometimes, and I'll literally just ask him which one does he think looks better. He literally always picks 100% of the time the S90D. I'll put different picture scenarios. I'll put different movie scenes, dark scenes, bright scenes, fire scenes, and we'll just literally just be staring at a game menu on the PS5 or whatever, or the loading menu, and like one time I asked him, I was like, do you see a difference at all? And then he was like, yeah, he was like talking about he likes the way the color looks better on the S90D, which obviously we all agree there. Um, but he says he notices certain things that on the G4 that you can't see on the S90D. And one time he picked out like a background or something like that, and he said you really can't see it that good on the S90D like you can on the G4. So I do notice that, but he still likes the S90D overall better. Like he doesn't care about those details. You could care about those details. You know what I mean? And not so much of the color. So you could be a completely different preference that you may have. So that's why this space is so cool. It's like I really like to hear like your people's opinions on that kind of stuff because it's really cool to hear, and I try my best to reply to you guys, and you guys know it too. So shout out to you guys, man, for looking out for me, and I really appreciate it. And guys, I'm just trying to really let you know, like the insides, like the things that you notice after having the TVs for months and owning them. And, like at this point, all the settings, everybody always talks about the settings. We all know what the settings can do. We all know it's the same thing every year with the settings, and we all know the measurements. And, stuff like that. All that stuff is cool, and I like learning about that stuff, and I'm addicted to learning about that stuff. But at the same time, it's your preference, and that's the whole reason why these TVs are made the way they are. And we all have our own opinions, you know what I mean? And big up to LG, and big up to Samsung and Sony for going at it with each other, and having their own signature look. You know what I mean? Making sure that something of what they do is different, no matter what. And, they all have their own thing, so it's that close of a race, guys. It's that tight. It's a hairline tight. So, it's cool to watch and talk about. So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Please leave comments, and I hope you guys like this video. Thank you.